After just 5 months in office, Governor Larry Hogan learned that he had stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. At a press conference this afternoon, Hogan announced that after 30 days of chemotherapy, 3 surgeries, and 4 spinal taps, he is now 100% cancer-free. Hogan says he still has to take preventative measures because the cancer can always come back.
I completed a PET scan at the University of Maryland Medical Center in Baltimore. I'm very thankful to be able to report that incredibly, as of today, I am 100% cancer-free and in complete remission. Unbelievably great news. However, it does not mean that I'm cured. It will take months for my body to recover from the cancer and the chemotherapy. And there's also a chance that the cancer could return. So I have completed the aggressive chemotherapy treatment schedule, and I will begin a monthly ongoing regimen of preventive maintenance to help lower the risk of recurrence. And I will continue to get scans on a regular basis to monitor my success and progress.
Hogan gave thanks to his family, supporters, and his doctors who were in attendance at today's announcement.
A proposed project in Laurel is killed after the mayor vetoes legislation to build apartment units. Now the city and developer are trying to decide on the next step.
Well, this is Mayor Mo's first veto, and he did it after careful consideration of this project.
Audrey Barnes is talking about Mayor Craig Mo's veto of a bill that would have changed a portion of Laurel Shopping Center. At issue is 52,000 square feet of vacant commercial space that Federal Realty wanted to develop into 180 apartment units.
Over the years, the owners of Laurel Shopping Center have had a tough time trying to keep this long back corridor occupied. Everything from a movie theater to a fitness center to restaurants have all closed their doors. Now this area remains completely vacant.
Federal Realty requested to add 100 additional parking spaces for this project, but the project includes 180 units of housing space. The mayor didn't feel that that was an appropriate number of parking spaces for this project, so that was one of the reasons he vetoed it.
Laurel City Council had unanimously adopted the revitalization plan. The mayor's veto means the council and the developer must go back to the drawing board.
I've let the council know by way of the letter that the mayor wrote that they should be thinking about his reason, his rationale, and see if they agree with that kind of a decision. And so we'll find out from there.
Is it something that could be solved with a parking garage, for example?
I don't think so. I think we've got it. His rationale was we have too many apartments. So I think we have to either agree or disagree.
And the council has 35 days to respond to the mayor's veto, which was signed on November 6. Edward Ricks says he plans to bring the issue before the body by the beginning of December. Well, what can we do to reduce the number of people going to jail each year in Maryland?
It's just one of the topics that will be discussed at an upcoming meeting being hosted by the nonprofit People for Change Coalition. Sandra Pruitt joins us now to talk about more. Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Pruitt. So tell us, what is the meeting all about?
Well, the meeting is an opportunity for people in the community, stakeholders. It's actually being put on by the JRCC, the Justice Reinvestment Coordinating Council. A bill was passed in a legislative session that just passed, SB 602, which says that we're going to look at how do we use the cost savings from the Maryland criminal justice system and how do we use those reforms and invest that money back in the community. So part of the bill says we're going to move around the state of Maryland, listen to stakeholders, and get their input on how best to utilize those funds to look at how do we reduce recidivism, how do we provide resources back into the community to stop more people from being incarcerated and give those reforms that we need to have in place.
And who can come to this event?
This event is open to people who've been incarcerated, businesses, nonprofits, service providers, legislators, and anybody in the community who is concerned about crime in their neighborhood.
Now, do you think the system that we currently have in Maryland is broken? I mean, you're calling for a meeting about this.
Absolutely, it's broken. When you look at the demographics of the state of Maryland, blacks make up 25% of the population, but 75% of those incarcerated. those statistics are alarming. And we pushed for this stakeholder meeting to be in Prince George's County because when you look at the number of people who are coming out of the system each month in the county, 1,200 to 1,500 people, we have no pre-release center, and we don't have the resources in place. So within 1 to 3 years, they're going back in the system.
And how does Maryland compare to other states in regard to this issue?
Maryland, we are behind the times. As we looked at some of the reforms that need to be put in place, Maryland, for it to be majority Democratic, some of their reforms are really behind the times when it comes to incarceration. We are incarcerating too many people. When you look at the penalties that we place on individuals who have lesser crimes, we are very harsh in the state of Maryland.
Now, I also heard that that was a similar complaint in terms of why the Second Chance Act came about, you know, for expunging records and stuff, that Maryland was behind. Would you agree with that as well?
Yes, yes. We got the Second Chance Act, but in addition, we also have the Ban the Box now right here in Prince George's County, which is a huge plus for people who have something on their record, not having to check the box, but being able to get an opportunity to explain that situation and get through that interview process.
Now, do you feel that there is a pattern for repeat offenders here in Maryland?
Absolutely. When you look at the numbers of those who've been incarcerated and those who are returning back in the system, you'll see that within 1 to 3 years, over 40% of those are returning back in the system for low-level crimes that they've committed.
And give us some ideas of some of the things that you would like to see changed for the future.
Number one, we want to see some investments invested back in nonprofit organizations who actually deal with working with those incarcerated. We also must bring a pre-release center to Prince George's County. Montgomery County has one that's working very well. We need one here. That center could take people a year out, work with them to integrate them back into the community with health, technology, employment, and working with their families.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Pruitt,
Thank
for
you.
joining us. And the meeting takes place this Wednesday at the Suitland Community Center from 6 to 8 p.m. The address is listed on your screen. For more information, you can call 301-772-1552. Meantime, a group of advocates, family members, and others will dress in all black tonight as they go before the Prince George's County delegation hearing. They are appealing to lawmakers and asking them to help sustain quality services for persons with developmental disabilities. One of the issues at hand is to protect wages through supplemental allocation of funding in the county budget. The meeting takes place tonight at the Sports and Learning Complex on Sheriff Road in Landover at 5:30.
And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Gina Barty.